Hey everyone, what's up? So I do apologize, I alluded to making this video yesterday, but there was just too much that I had to do, and there was too much going on in the afternoon, and there's still a lot that I have to do this afternoon, but I wanted to at least, crank this video out because I had said that I would do it. Now, I try in my videos to not get too, personal about shit and whatnot. I know I uploaded a video, I think, over 4 years ago at this point. I think it was titled "I Have No Idea What I'm Doing" or something like that, and I actually got emotional in that video. Not going to be the case here, and weirdly enough, sometimes I'm inspired to make videos by, of all people, UTF. I mean, regardless of how I may feel about him now, I know back in the day, 2011, 2012, 2013, I used to be a big fan of his stuff. And I actually used to really like his videos where he would open up about his, what he was going through at the time, personal struggles, or just stuff that he's always dealt with, whether it was depression or suicidal thoughts or anything else. I know some people kind of viewed it as oversharing, and I can understand that viewpoint for sure, but I always liked those videos because I was always able to relate to some of it at least. But I don't know, today I just wanted to talk about something. And I'm sure this is something that a lot of people, I'm far from being the only one that deals with this sort of thing, and I'm sure that plenty of people deal with this. So, I make this video, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, I feel that too," or that's normal, whatever. So, this could be just nothing really out of the ordinary, and I'm sure that it's not for a lot of people, but I still wanted to talk about it. And that's that when I tend to make friends, because I don't make friends easily, I wasn't one of those kids that had no friends at all. I would say in school, I always had a friend or two here or there, most years and stuff. But I still wasn't. I've never been outgoing. I'm still not super outgoing. I've come out of my shell a little bit, as compared to in middle school or high school. Definitely middle school. But I'm still very much. I'm not a particularly big people person. I'm definitely far more introverted as opposed to extroverted. So, it's not easy for me to just go up to people and strike up a conversation and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Or just to talk about anything. And a lot of the time, and even though I don't make friends easily, people, I guess, tend to feel comfortable around me or tend to feel like they can talk to me, or I just have a presence about me. And so a lot of the time, I end up, people end up talking to me, I guess. Or, I end up being the one that people tell their problems to and venting to and stuff like that. I've been that person for quite a few people. So it's really always, that the other person doing a lot of the talking and not really myself. But that's a complete side tangent. But yeah, I never had no friends in school. I wasn't that kid. I didn't really particularly get bullied, really. I mean, there were a few short, periods of time where I guess you could say I sort of got bullied. In particular, in 7th grade, there was this girl actually that was giving me a hard time, and I didn't know, because especially in middle school, grades 6 through 8. Because I know that for some, middle school was 7 through 8 only, or it may not include 6th grade, but middle school was 6th grade through 8th grade for me. And in middle school, I was a very quiet kid. I only talked with my friends. I didn't really talk to anyone else. Other kids would jokingly ask me. They would be like, "Oh, why don't you talk?" or "Why don't you talk more?" And a phrase that I would come to really get annoyed by later on in life. It's "Well, why don't you ever shut the fuck up?" Better to know when you don't have anything to say rather than open your mouth and just say something that's completely worth nothing, at least in my opinion. But I mean, I had friends over the years, and friends come and go. That's life. I get that. But I had a lot of friends that I would make, and I would get somewhat close to. And then they would either move away, or I would just, lose contact, or we just, sometimes you just grow apart, friends grow apart and stuff like that. But it always sucked. It always really did suck because, most of the friends that I had in middle school, high school, whatever, you know, I no longer really talk with at all, really. I might have a few of them on Facebook, but I mean, never really talk with them. I do have, you know, one, which is my best friend of 15 years. We met in 6th grade. And I mean, we talk like all the time. Even if we can go like a few days or a week without talking and it doesn't affect our friendship at all. Like that's going to be a lifelong friendship, which I'm very thankful for. And I very much appreciate my best friend because I have several best friends, but the one for 15 years, I really appreciate him a lot. But because of all that, you know, because I've had friends come and go, and sometimes it, you know, is more painful than others. When I do make friends, especially now, even at the age of 27, I know this is probably kind of pathetic, but you know, even when I do make friends, and a lot of the times it's at work because, admittedly, when I'm not at work, when I'm not at work, just to be blunt, I'm somewhat of a recluse, honestly, because I, you know, work 5 days a week. You know, I'm around people constantly, and it's like on my days off, I just don't want to be surrounded by people or to go out that much. Like I know me and Zach will go out to dinner like on one of my days off because that's basically our date night at this point. But aside from that, I don't really tend to do much unless I like make plans with, you know, friends or something. But, you know, aside from that, I'm kind of a recluse. So, you know, whenever I have made friends, you know, at work or outside, because I've made friends outside of work too, since I've moved here. But when I do, you know, make new friends and I get particularly like, you know, close to them and stuff, I tend to get very attached. And I like to think that I'm not very obvious or outward about the fact that I get very attached to people. But, you know, I tend to get very, very, I don't want to use the word clingy because, you know, I don't feel that I'm a clingy person. But maybe somewhat. I think attached is a better word to use. But I get very attached to people, and it makes it all the more worse when, you know, they end up either moving away or in the case of work they end up like switching departments and stuff, and I don't work with them anymore. And you know, I end up, and it just sucks. It just sucks because I get so attached to people, and I wish that I didn't get that way. I wish that there was a way to where I could just not get so attached to the point to where if something does happen to where I don't really see them that much anymore, or I wish I could be, I wish that I didn't have to involuntarily mentally beat the shit out of myself so much over it. And again, I get that that's probably a thing that a lot of people have, and you know, admittedly, that makes people human. You know, that reminds me that I have emotions. I'm not callous or cold or a sociopath or anything. It reminds me that I actually care about people. But it's just it sucks to deal with because you know you get attached, or I get attached, and then you know the person either moves away or you don't see them that as much anymore, or don't get to talk to them. And it's so sad. And for me, it just becomes, not crippling wouldn't really be the word, but I mean, it really, really just takes a hit on me. And I wish it didn't so much, but it does. And like, particularly when I make new friends that I would consider best friends, even if I do maybe talk to them somewhat regularly or do hang out regularly or something, even with those friends, because I've you know, because we've been friends, and maybe, you know, because the best friend that I mentioned that I've been best friends with for 15 years, like I said, that's going to be a lifelong. We've been friends for so long at this point that I don't worry about us like falling out or, you know, growing apart or losing contact or anything like that. But you know, when I make, even if they're new friends that I've made that, you know, or whether it's in work or outside of work, that I still communicate with regularly or that I still see regularly or somewhat regularly even, I still will worry and again, just mentally beat the shit out of myself. And no matter how much I tell myself that I'm overreacting or I'm worrying over nothing or anything like that, it just doesn't help. My mind involuntarily just keeps fucking pushing and pushing and pushing and just like, putting all these bad thoughts into my head. That, I'm not, that people only say they're friends with me, or people only say that I matter because they feel bad for me, or because they, didn't have anyone else to hang out with, or they didn't, and again, I know this might sound kind of pathetic coming from because I'm 27 at this point, but it's just feelings that I have, these feelings of, I guess, not being worthy, I guess you want to call it. I worry if I'm just the go-to, I'm not really the person that, anyone wants to actually spend time with or hang out with or talk to or anything. I'm just, the last resort or whatever is, really I guess, one of the best ways to put it. I'm trying to put words into what I feel and what I'm thinking on this topic as best I can, but it's a little difficult because there's so much. But yeah, I get attached, and then I get anxiety about friendships, and then I worry needlessly, and I tell myself I'm worrying needlessly, but it doesn't do a damn bit of difference. And then I start convincing myself of things, and I start to make myself either sad or angry or something, and it sucks. And it goes back to being, attached to people and stuff. And, it gets to the point where I just have to step away from everything, whether it's social media or stuff like that. And I just need to step back and take a break from it all and just do my own thing and focus on other stuff just to get these thoughts and feelings, just to give myself a break mentally from all this shit being forced upon me. Because no matter how much I tell myself again that I'm needlessly worrying about nothing, doesn't matter. It keeps on and on and on and on. And I wish it didn't have to be that way. I wish I didn't have to worry about friendships falling apart or losing friends or worrying that, people are only friends with me because, there was no one else. But unless I step away from shit, like almost altogether, it doesn't do a damn bit of difference if I sit down and reassure myself for an hour that this isn't true, what I'm thinking. But even still, it still affects me mentally. And it fucks up my mood, it fucks up my day. And I like to think of myself as a fairly strong person mentally, and then it's not that obvious that I get that, I'm attached, or that I don't want to come across as caring too much, although I would say, caring too much is better than opposed to not caring at all. But I just don't want to appear outwardly needy, and I think I do a fairly good job of keeping myself contained and keeping control of myself, because I do genuinely like to think of myself as a fairly strong person. But sometimes it's just hard. And again, that's the case for everyone. Everyone has that to some degree or another. It gets tough for everyone. I'm not trying to say that this is a unique case for me, but it sucks sometimes getting attached like that, and then worrying about it, and then worrying about, all this shit, and getting to the point where you're almost putting yourself down. So it sucks. I wish I didn't have to. I wish there was a way to where I could actually control feeling this way, but sometimes it's hard to. And so again, I just have to step back and step away and sort of go off into my own world or into my own thing or whatever. Whether it's, just losing myself in work, or just, losing myself in whatever. So, yeah, I guess that's really about it, because I don't really know how else to really explain it. But yeah, it's just difficult to deal with sometimes. And that's why, maybe that's maybe subconsciously or something, or, that's why I don't go out of my way to make new friends, because inevitably, good things don't last forever, and eventually, friends come and go. Obviously, there are some friends that I have that I don't intend for that to happen ever, because we're too close at this point. But even those friendships I worry about sometimes, and it's needlessly. There's no reason to, but again. But yeah, maybe that's, I don't know. But I think that's about it. I'm gonna stop here. But as always, you guys share your thoughts and stuff. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for me for this one. Peace, and have a good day. And I guess just stay strong.